So here we are once again. Another MLP set is coming out this month. Well, the set's not out for 2 more weeks, so we don't have a full set list yet, but we do have some preview cards to work with. What I've decided to do today is just go over all of the cards that we know about so far, and we're going to see how the new set is going to pan out. Some of you might say, well that's not that much. It's not like we can judge the entire set based on these few cards. Well, we have 50 cards to look at today, so whew, that is like 4 times more than I give my Weiss Schwarz kids, so I'm really showing you guys some love. One of the reasons I wanted to get something MLP related out though is for anybody who doesn't know because they don't watch my other stuff and they only follow my MLP stuff, I pretty much set up a Patreon with a Patreon only Facebook group, and right now I'm letting everybody into the Patreon group for free. In my Facebook group, we pretty much just talk about games and old card games, and you can even challenge me online to games like MLP using trade cards online. The biggest feature, though, is people can vote on what they want to see me do next, and MLP is on the list of stuff to do next. So if you'd like to talk to me, talk to other Kudou-kun fans, talk to other card game fans, and vote on stuff that you'd like to see next, then please check out the description. Until Tuesday, anybody's allowed in. Doesn't matter if you're a Patreon supporter or not, just come on in, talk to us, and have a good time. With that out of the way, there's one last thing I want to say. I looked briefly over some of these cards, but for the most part, I'm going to be going into this blind. So this isn't going to be quite as well researched or as refined as my videos here normally are for MLP, but it's going to be pretty fun to see what my first reactions are to some of these. So, man, that list of 50 cards it's staring at me. Best not draw this out any longer, I guess. Let's get looking at the first card. Looks like we're starting out with some mains. We have Rainbow Dash Wonderbolt. When you confront this card's problem, turn this card over. Okay. Your flipped cards have +2 power. Okay, that has potential. I can definitely see it. So even if this isn't involved in the face-off, you just get +2 on all of your card flips. I could see that being useful, yeah. Applejack Tooled Up. When you confront this card's problem, turn it over. Sensing a pattern here. Is this just going to be what all of the mains are going to do? We'll just confront this card's problem, flip it over. Immediate effect. During a face-off, exhaust this card to flip an additional card. That doesn't sound good at all. At least not compared to some of the Applejacks we already have. I would never use this Applejack personally. In order to get any use out of this, you would have to guarantee that every card in your deck has 3 or more power, which, I mean, if that's what your deck looks like, more power to you, but even if, like, let's say hypothetically, every single card in your deck has 5 power, you could still get more off of a different Applejack. I don't see where this is that useful. It might have some usefulness if you have a way of giving this stubborn, but even then, I'm not very impressed. Pinkie Pie, Cruise Director, yep. Confront and flip. During a face-off, exhaust this card to get a 1 power Earth Pony token into play. I'm not that impressed with that effect either. I guess the one really good thing about it is it says during a face-off, so you could hypothetically use it during like Troublemaker face-offs and event face-offs and that kind of stuff. Still though, exhausting to get a 1 power friend isn't necessarily something I think Pink needs. That's more something you'd see in yellow. I don't know really why they would ever put this on a pink card. I think the other Pinkie Pies are way better. Twilight Sparkle, Professor Sparkle, confront and flip. Immediate effect, pay 1 to give a Troublemaker +2 or -2 power until the end of the turn. See, now that's useful. That's really good. Pay 1 to either make your Troublemakers really good or make your opponent's Troublemakers not as good. And you could even abuse this in something like a villain deck, where you just play a villain, and then you go up to the villain, you make it really weak, and then you beat it. Okay, yeah, this is really starting to go somewhere. Rarity Fashion Mogul, confront and flip. When an opponent starts a face-off, you may exhaust this card to banish one of their friends until the end of the face-off. That's not necessarily great. I could see some uses if you're getting rid of something that has a really good effect. For example, what was that card's name? The Judge Pony. Miss Jury or something. I don't remember. Miss Justice? I don't remember. But the purple card that gives all of your friends -1, I could see something like that being useful, because you get rid of the Justice Pony and you get all of your power back, and you're getting rid of 4 power from their side of the field. Outside of cards with effects like that, I don't see this being that useful, especially since your opponent has to be the one to start the face-off. Hold on a second. Nope, I take it back. This card's pretty amazing. So, while I had that pause, I was just thinking for a second. Since it's your opponent starts a face-off, it's also if they start a face-off against a troublemaker. That's really good. You can exhaust this card to banish one of their friends from the troublemaker face-off, and it's all starting to click. Alrighty. So, I think I see the direction that this set is going. It's going to be a set kind of focused around trying to make troublemakers playable again. I kind of support that, I guess. In a troublemaker-heavy format, this card is going to be really fantastic. So, it's probably going to be one of the best mains of the ones that I've seen so far. Fluttershy, Nurturing Nature, Confront and Flip. At the start of your score phase, you may exhaust this card to combine its power to confronting a problem. I don't think that's that good. I mean, Fluttershy mains aren't known for being great or anything, but that sounds really subpar. It's not really worth it to try and give this card Stubborn, so really the only use you can get out of this is you don't have to move it out of your home. You can just keep it home and then have it give its power during the score phase, but if you mess up and you give so much power that you're going into a face-off, then this card isn't there to support during the face-off, so not really getting the connection. Unless somebody can correct me on this, I don't think they keep their power when they're going from the score phase to the face-off, because the face-off is a completely different phase. You're just kind of screwing yourself out of 3 power. Nope, not good. Moving on. We also have this Thorax guy. We don't know what his start side looks like yet, but its boosted side is this card has +1 power for each of your friends with 2 or less printed power. I could see that being good. If you play it alongside a deck that uses a lot of tokens, tokens have a printed power of whatever they say, and it's normally not more than 2. So this card could potentially be really nice. I think it more than makes up for the fact that the Fluttershy card is so garbage. Oh, a 1-cost Rainbow Dash that doesn't have a requirement. While you have 3 or fewer cards in your hand, this card has +2 power. So, pretty awful in a blue deck, but I could see it having some use in other decks. Maybe not. I don't know. It doesn't even have Swift. Why on earth would you give a card like this an effect like that and not give it Swift? That's so useless. I don't know if I like this card. Like, the one legitimate use it could have is if you're playing a lot of cards from your hand, like, since this is going to be a troublemaker-heavy format, I could see people playing at least 2 cards from their hand because you're getting rid of troublemakers. But even if you do that, you play a card, which is this Rainbow Dash, and you do go down to 3 cards to give yourself to +2. You don't really have enough cards in your hand to do anything at that point, so no, I'm not really liking this one. Limestone Pie, all work, no play. Stubborn, 4 for 4, 2 requirement, looking good so far. Immediate, exhaust this card to choose an opposing friend or boosted main character. That card loses and can't gain abilities until the end of the turn. Okay, we're definitely going somewhere here. This card is really good. So, 4 for 4 power, and it has Stubborn, so you don't have to worry about exhausting it for its effect. And when you exhaust it for its effect, one of your opponent's friends or boosted main characters loses its effect until the end of the turn. Nice. This is a really good addition. Pal, Loyal Hench Pony, Earth Pony, 3 for 3. When one of your troublemakers would be dismissed, you may exhaust this card to turn it face down instead. Oh snap, this card cannot be frightened. Whoo. So in this kind of format, this card's going to be really cool. If your opponent has something that would like immediately get rid of a troublemaker or something, this kind of negates it almost. Even if your opponents beat a troublemaker in a troublemaker face-off, it looks like you can just exhaust this card and put it back in play face down. And of course, as we all know, that troublemaker is going to flip back face up eventually, so nice meme. This is a great card for the format. Berry Punch and Orange Swirl. Both of those names sound delicious. 1 for 1, when this card enters play, gain control of an opposing friend until the end of the score phase. That's debatably good. So something like this would be amazing in a deck that focuses on discarding your own ponies, because you play this, you take control of one of your opponent's friends, and then you sacrifice it for some kind of effect. That sounds nice. In a regular pink deck, though, this card would be worthless, because after you have it in play, that 1 for 1, you're not going to want to do anything with. It's just kind of a waste of a card. I think I would rather have something else. And you only get it until the end of the score phase. Nah, dude, that's not even worth it. Like, at least if it stayed till the end of the turn, you could also use it during a face-off, but as it stands right now, it's not that great of a card. Mary Mare, aka Derpy, if you're a huge fan of the show, I suppose. 3 for 3, Chaos Effect, nice, didn't know they still had those. When this card is flipped, draw a card. Neato, exhaust this card to draw a card. Immediate effect, nice, okay, I could see this being useful. So you have it in play, and if you decide that you don't want to go into a face-off, but your opponent is trying to push a face-off, and you have this on a problem, you can just exhaust this card, draw a card, your opponent doesn't get their face-off, and then during your turn you can decide what you want to do. Nice, I like it. Discord Captain Was, that's a weird name, experienced. Wait a second, what is experience? This card has +1 power for each card with the same name as this card in your discard pile. Oh, that's really cool. So if you're playing like a Discord deck or something, then every Discord in your discard pile gives this +1 power. That's a really cool effect. I hope I see that more. Main phase. Retire this card to put a Troublemaker from your discard pile into your hand. Okay, and it even has an effect that works with experience. So you can play this, you can discard it for its effect, get back a Troublemaker, and then the next time you play this Discord, it'll have 3 power instead of 2. Decent card, I like it. Plaid Stripes, 3 for 3. Opponents pay +1 to play cards with cost 2 or less. Oh, snap. Oh, I really like this card. That's really cool. So if your opponent's playing something like Back Where You Began, or if they're playing like a, they're paying for like a 2 cost, 2 power, just colorless pony to get the color requirements, then it costs an extra 1. Oh snap, I really like that. This is going to be great for toll gating decks. Holy cow, you combine this with Uneven Ground Rainbow Dash? Oh man, oh that's sick. Ooh, that's really cool. If you're playing MLP competitively this format, combine this with Uneven Ground Rainbow Dash and just laugh. Laugh at your opponent. It's going to be good times, I promise. Fluttershy, Flutterholly, 3 for 1. Odd. This card has +1 power for each of your characters at home. That's not good. That's not good at all. In fact, that's a horrible card. I would never play this, ever. The whole point of the game is not to have friends at home. If this were a 3 for 3, then I might kind of see it, because you could keep your main character at home, and you would get the +1 to go up to 4, but starting at 1 power, that's no me gusta. I would never play this card. Quibble Pants. You had better have an amazing effect to make up for how stupid your name is. It's blue and purple, that's cool. Meticulous 1. At the start of your turn, okay, look at the top card of your deck, of course. Exhaust. Wait a second. Exhaust this card to put a Troublemaker into play face up. Nice meme. So it doesn't even cost anything. You just exhaust him, play a Troublemaker for free, and it's face up. So, you know, as soon as you end your turn, your opponent has to deal with it. Nice. I like this card. I especially love the fact that it's blue and purple, so it works perfectly for a Troublemaker deck. Perfectly. Cloud Chaser and Flitter, Calming 2. For anybody who doesn't know what Calming does, if you have this in play at a problem and your opponent plays a friend to that problem, it loses 2 power for the turn. When you move another character with 2 or less power, you may move this card. Oh, so it moves for free if you move something else with 2 or less power. That's good, I think. I mean, you're not really going to be paying to move things with 2 power, but if you have a way to move things for 2 power for free, like if you have like the Fluttershy that lets you choose a critter. Sorry, I can't speak. If you have the Fluttershy main that lets you move a critter for free when you're in a face-off, then you can move this and the critter, so that makes it pretty awesome. I'm also sure there's something in blue that'll be useful for this. Wildfire, I think, might have 2 powers, so that might be pretty good. Mr. Stripes, rocking probably the most epic mustache I think I've ever seen on a horse. Costs 4, has 5 power. Orange and purple, you have my attention, sir. Chaos. When this card is flipped, put a +1 power counter on a friend or troublemaker involved in the face-off. Friend or troublemaker. I like how it's making the distinction there. Hey, you know what? If you want to use this card to power up your troublemakers, go for it, because that's what we're all about right now. As prepared, when an opponent starts a face-off here, gain 1. The meme around that is if your opponent starts a troublemaker face-off, it still counts, so you get 1 power, 1 action point if your opponent starts a face-off here with the troublemaker. Okay. Immediate, exhaust this card to exhaust an opposing friend involved in the face-off. Oh! Wow, this set is really transparent in what it's trying to do. So, you play this somewhere where you have a good troublemaker set up. You let your opponent go into the troublemaker face-off. You get the 1 free action point, and you exhaust this to exhaust one of their friends involved in the face-off. And it has 5 power, so if you really need to go into a face-off with it, it's got no problem. Sweetie Belle, most traditional. 2 for 2, orange and white, stubborn, starting off strong. Exhaust this card to look at the top 2 cards of a player's deck. Put any number of them into their owner's discard pile and the rest on top in any order. Oh, that... that's a really good effect. Oh, man. So you could pretty much get rid of any of their best cards, and any of the cards that you happen to see that, you know, only have 1 or 2 power, you could put back on top and start into a face-off. That's... Alrighty, I could see the Sweetie Belle being pretty fantastic. Rainbow Shine, pink and purple. When an opponent starts a face-off, you may draw a card. Okay, we're continuing with the Troublemaker face-off memes. Exhaust this card to pay 1 less for your next event this turn. That's arguably good. It's not bad, that's what I'm saying. It's not a bad effect. Don't know how great it is, but this card is playable, and that's good. Sunburst, Royal Foal Sitter. I am just guessing this pony has something to do with Sunset Shimmer. If not, that is a really weird coincidence. 3 for 2, not impressed. Calming 2, okay, that's still not that great. Immediate, exhaust this card to gain 1 action point. When an opponent confronts this card's problem, that player loses 1 action point. That could be good. If you get multiple of these in play, then it's a decent effect, because like you could just have an engine where you're just continuously gaining action points, and every time your opponent confronts a problem, they lose action points. And if you purposefully don't try to set up to actually like confront the problem and try to go into a face-off, then you could probably shave off 2, 3, 4 action points. That's okay. Flim and Flam, hey! I remember these guys. They were really bad troublemakers in the first set. As this card enters play, choose a color. This card is that color. Okay, you have my attention. This card enters play with 3 +1 counters on it. At the start of your turn, remove a +1 counter from this card. Huh. What an interesting color fixer. So 2, and you could have it act as the color that you need for the time, and it counts as 3. So you could potentially pay 2, and then pay for whatever you need to play the new card, and then you don't really need this card anymore. I'm not going to say that this card is great, because there are already events and stuff that sort of have this covered, but because it starts at 3 and goes down to 2 and then down to 1, I think this card has some potential, because it lasts this turn and also next turn, pretty much, because, you know, 2 of any color is going to be good for most color requirements. After that, it's useless, but, I mean, you're kind of getting your money's worth for 2 action points. Join the herd. Immediate. Choose a color. One of your characters has +2 power and has that color until the end of the turn. Okay, yeah, this is pretty much one of them. This is pretty much one of the cards that could replace Flim Flam. I would use this card probably over Flim Flam, because Flim Flam has 0 power. Pinky's Present, 2, 5 power, 3 color requirement. Choose one, draw 4 cards. No, 2 to draw 4 cards. That's really good. Opponents need +2 to confront problems until the start of your next turn, or gain control of an opposing friend until the end of the score phase. Well, I can tell you one effect that you're not going to use, unless you build specifically around it. I don't think it's very useful to just take control of opponent until the end of the score phase. That is, again, unless it has either an effect you can use, or you have a way of sacking it off, because it's just not worth it. Especially not for 2 action points. We've seen cards in pink that for 2 action points can just straight out off another card. So just taking control of one for 1/2 of a turn just doesn't sound useful to me. But paying 2 to draw 4 cards is good. Having your opponent need +2 colorless to confront a problem doesn't sound very good at first, but it's actually pretty awesome, because think of it this way: if your opponent is already confronting a problem, you can play this so that they're no longer confronting a problem, and then just get your free confront off pretty much, and that's worth it, especially if you haven't flipped your main yet, because it seems like in this set all you have to do is confront problems to flip your mains. So you just do this, confront your problem, flip your main, and that's it. Similio Duplexus sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Pretty sure that's what they're going for. Cost 4, requirement 4, main phase. During the next score phase, there is an additional confront step for each problem. Okay. Well, that's kind of neat, right, guys? So you can confront a problem twice for double the points. Woohoo! That's awesome. But what happens if your opponent's confronting 2? Because you're probably not going to have 2 face-offs, right? That sounds really dumb. I don't think they would make a mechanic like that, but that's really weird. What happens if you play this and you're going to start some kind of face-off against your opponent? Like, what happens to that second confront step? Do you just lose it? Is it wasted? That's interesting. I'm going to have to read some rulings on that card, but if you take that out of consideration, getting to confront a problem twice is pretty memesy. Oh god, we're gonna keep making these, are we? We're just gonna keep making the proxy problems? No, that's fine. Nobody will abuse those. Nobody will play a bunch of these and then play a bunch of troublemakers on all of them to make it impossible for your opponent to play. No, I definitely won't search my deck for 3 yellow pair sprites and put them all in play, so my opponent's discarding 3 cards a turn. Why would I ever do that? I'm a totally fair player. So 2 3-color requirement. When this problem is solved, score a point. Wow! Nice meme. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get more enthusiastic, but I really don't like these proxy problem cards, especially in a format where they're trying to make troublemakers the main thing. Because right now you can have like 2 troublemakers in play. If you play these, then you can just have so many troublemakers in play and just pretty much make it impossible for your opponent to actually play the game, and I don't think that's very fun. Heart of the Sea, play on a friend or troublemaker. That card has +2 power. Okay, so 2 for 2 power. If that card would be dismissed, you may put it into its owner's hand instead. Okay, I mean, I guess it gives a card +2 power and also an extra life. So if it happens to die or something, I could see this being useful against like a pink deck. So you play this on something that you don't want to be dismissed or something. Gonna go back into the old toolbox here, into the meme box, and pull out Rarity, Truly Outrageous. You play this on a Rarity, Truly Outrageous, and not only is it easier to confront problems, but you can also put it back in your hand if your opponent dismisses it. Okay, I could see this being useful. Trixie's Equestrian Apology Tour. Hold on a second. What is this card all about? I don't want to see no apology tour. Trixie having her arrogant attitude is like the best thing about her. Don't tell me she lost that. She won't be best pony anymore. I mean, not that realistically I care or anything, but geez. Anyways, pay 1. It's a white card. That's interesting. Play to your home. At the end of each opponent's turn, if no problems were confronted this turn, you may distribute 2 +1 counters on up to 2 of your friends. Okay, that's interesting. So if you're playing a white control deck, like a toll booth deck or something, this is a way for you to actually like set a timer on your opponent. If your opponent's just sitting back and saying, oh, okay, you know what, my opponent's got those Octavias out there, I've got to pay the +2 to move to Octavia's problems, I'll just sit back for a few turns. Well, you play a couple of these bad boys and it's all of a sudden, oh, you're just going to sit back there, not going to confront any problems? Well, I'm just going to get a few more tokens then. And then by the time they actually do go up to start confronting problems, you've got all these like 10/10 ponies on the field, and it's really hard to deal with. I like this card. This card's pretty nice. You know what? I apologize to Trixie's Equestrian Apology Tour. Alright, that is the best I've got, guys. That is the absolute best joke I have for you. Wonderbolt's Runway costs 1, 2 requirements. Play to your home. At the start of your turn, put a trainer counter on this card. When you put a trainer counter on this card, if there are 5 or more trainer counters on this card, not trainer, right, it's trainee. If you put 5 or more trainee counters on this card, retire it. When this card leaves play, for each trainee counter on this card, put a 1 power Pegasus friend into play with Swift. Wow, that's kind of cool, actually. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, it takes a long time to set up, but if your opponent does something to get rid of this early, then it still gets its effect. That's really cool. I like that. Okay, Wonderbolt's Runway is a pretty nice card. It would not be a good card. It wouldn't be a good card at all if the Pegasus friends didn't have Swift, but they have Swift, so hypothetically, if you wanted to, you could pay like 5 action points to put 5 powers worth of ponies on a problem. If you combine this with, let's say, like a yellow deck, then you can just combine this with, what is it, like, I forgot the name of the card, like Picnic Lunch, and cards like that give all of your friends +1 power, and then they go up to like 2 power, so you pay 5 for 10 power with Swift. All in all, I think this is a great card for yellow decks. Oh boy, we're starting to hit some of the troublemakers. Okay, Changeling Barricade. You shall not pass. I get it. That's from one of them damn Hobbit movies. One of the ones with the small people and the circle thing. Yeah, I remember. When this card is uncovered, well, that's unfortunate. Put a token copy of this card in play face up at other problems? Why? This card has 4 power. That's not useful at all, especially because it has to be uncovered. And for anybody who's confused about why I don't think it's good because you have to uncover it, they've introduced cards like POW that can put it in play face up. If it has to be uncovered, then not POW, F. It's the Quibbles. Like, if you use Quibble's effect to put this in play face up, it doesn't get its effect. And even if you do get its effect off, all you're doing is putting a 4-power troublemaker on all the problems. I don't think that's that good at all. No, you could play way better cards than this. Forget it. I'd say that the only thing about this card that's arguably good is the fact that it's not worth any points. So, you annoy your opponent for a few turns. I could see this probably stopping a lot of early game rush decks, because you play this and you just sort of stop them from solving any problem for the first 2 or 3 turns to let you set up. And other than that, I don't think it's that good at all. Changeling Mimics. I hope this card gets a lot of recognition so I can start calling it Changeling Mimics. I'm using the word meme a lot because it's funny. At the start of each opponent's turn, you may choose Event, Resource, or Troublemaker. That opponent pays, what is that, +2? +3? I can't see. 1 second. Pays +3 to play cards of the chosen type until the start of your opponent's next turn. Oh, snap. Ooh, that is really good. That is a very, very good card. I think this card is going to catch on, and I think my Changeling Mimics is going to become a reality. That is ridiculous. I mean, granted, the one thing you could say about this card that sort of balances it is late game it's a teeny tiny bit underpowered, because like if you're going against resources, for example, declaring resources isn't really going to be that useful, but calling on troublemakers is really good, with the exception of Quibbles, who puts them in play for free. And calling on events is always really good because it's going to completely shut out purple decks and white decks and Really, it just kind of kills a lot of decks, because paying 4 really isn't worth it for one action point cards. In fact, paying the +3 isn't going to make it good for anybody. This is a great card. Queen Chrysalis, my baby. Vicious Vengeance. Oh, the artwork is really ugly, and that makes me sad. When this card is uncovered, move all characters to your home. Again, why does it have to be uncovered? Why can't it be just... Well, I guess in this case it kind of makes sense. Okay. I'll deal with it. 7 power. It's going to be really hard for your opponent to deal with this card. This card is arguably good. It could be good against blue decks. Yellow decks. That's it really, isn't it? Just blue and yellow decks. Yeah, I'm thinking it's not even that good against blue decks, because most good blue cards have Swift. So, orange decks maybe? Yellow and orange decks? I don't know. It's arguably good. Good old-fashioned problem. Random color requirement on your side too. That's weird. Main phase, pay 2 and discard 2 cards to choose a color and put a 2-power colorless changeling token friend in play. What? Okay, so pay 2, discard 2 cards and choose a color to put a 2-power changeling friend into play with that color. I get it. I understand it. Because if in your opening hand you have some cards that cost a bit too much and you really need to get stuff going, you just didn't happen to draw that 2-power colorless pony that you wanted to get, then I could see this being useful. But overall, I don't think this is that good. I don't think so, at least. I'm on the fence about this. I can see it being useful, but it's only useful if your opening hand is garbage. If your opening hand is fine, like halfway decent, then this card isn't that useful at all. I'd rather have something like Bottom of the Well. Applejack, Captain of the Seven Seas. This card's artwork is really ugly too. That's so sad. Diligent 1. Okay. When this card enters play, each player chooses a friend, resources, and troublemaker they control, and retires the rest. Interesting. Well, almost interesting. Okay, no, it's... I'm stuck on this one. It's good. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I actually think this card is legitimately pretty good. 5 for 5 power. When this card comes into play, you're probably going to choose it because it has 5 power. You get to keep this, get to keep 1 resource, and then your opponent has to get rid of everything except for 1 friend and 1 resource. It's a really good oh no button. Like if your opponent's been going off, spending all their action points and stuff, you could actually build a deck around this. You could. So if your opponent just goes off and spends all their action points, and you just save up your action points, like you honestly don't even spend that many. Like if you and your opponent are at 10 action points, and your opponent spends all 10 of those action points, and you haven't spent any, and then you just drop this card, then your opponent's out those 10 action points. You spent 5 to have this, and then you still have 5 more to spend. So this card is good, but you can't splash it at all. You have to build a deck that takes this effect into consideration. I guess you could technically splash 1 or 2 of them into a deck as like an oh no button if your opponent's getting too far ahead, but I don't know. I feel like this card is probably meant to be built around. Oh my gosh, guys, water break. Just give me a second here. We got this. Oh my gosh. Water has never tasted so delicious in all my life. Discord standing up. 7 for 4. Oh, it has redeem. Okay, that makes sense. So I read up on redeem a second ago. So for redeem, if you have a card of the same name in play, so if you already have a Discord in play, then you can discard it to bring the cost of this down by 3. I don't know how many times you could do it though. If you could do it twice and make this go down to 1, this is a pretty awesome effect. But if you can only do it once, it's still fine. You're paying 4 for 4. It has hasty, so you can play it during your opponent's turn. That's cool. Dismiss an opposing friend and each other friend with the same name. That's not bad. I like that. That's a really good answer to some decks. orange decks for sure, because you get rid of one Applejack, and then you get rid of every card they have in play named Applejack. That's some really messed up stuff. Okay, Discord Standing Up is a pretty nice card. Starlight Glimmer, Redeem, which is good because it costs freaking 8, but luckily after you pay the 5, you get 5 power, so that's good. Prepared, which is nice. Your opponent starts face-offs and you get free action points. At the start of your turn, you may play a friend from your hand without paying its cost. Oh, why? Why would you do this? That sounds so abusable. Wow. Okay, so I hate to keep harping on about it, but you combine this with something like Rainbow Dash on Even Ground, and you can just keep playing all of your high-level cards. You could literally build a deck around this in Rainbow Dash on Even Ground, and then just continue playing all of your like 4 and 5 cost cards while your opponent can't do anything about it. Whoo, interesting. This card's good. This card I could see being splashed in every single deck that uses purple at 1 copy. It's gonna work. 2 cost, 5 power, main phase. Choose one. Banish a friend with 3 or more power. Probably the one I'm always gonna choose. You need -2 to confront problems till the end of the turn. Okay. Or put a Troublemaker card from your discard pile into play face up. Well, this is another problem, because most of these Troublemakers I've been seeing, you don't want to play them face up. So, I mean, I guess if you're playing that one really good, like, Changeling Memers card. I don't remember the name of it, guys. I'm sorry. But if you're playing that one card that makes it so your opponent has to pay like +3 for events, resources, or Troublemakers, this could be a really great card. Yeah, I mean, this card is definitely at least decent. You can banish a friend with 3 or more power for 2. That's already worth it. Sky Stinger, 3 for 3. While you have 3 or fewer cards in your hand, this card has Swift. That's kind of good. When you move this card to a problem, you may move another of your characters to that problem. Okay, so they're trying their hardest to replace Holly Dash. I see what's going on here. So it's weaker than Holly Dash, but it costs less, and you can give it Swift, and it's... Wait a second. Does Holly Dash have 4 color requirement? No, doesn't Holly Dash have like 2 color requirement? Okay, if Holly Dash has 4 color requirement, then this card is better than Holly Dash, okay, clearly. If Holly Dash only has 2 color requirement, like I think it does, I think Holly Dash is still better than this card. It has 1 more power, but Holly Dash doesn't have Swift. But this card only has Swift if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, which is so situational, because that's... I don't even know, guys. You guys can give your opinions on this one. I think this one might be pretty much even with Holly Dash. I think I'd probably still use Holly Dash because it's got the 4 power, and it's the Swift thing isn't even really a factor, but I don't know, guys. I think I'd stick with Holly Dash, but they're really trying to replace it. Oh my gosh, this card is really hard to see. Big Mac Sir McBiggin? That sounds... Oh, that sounds like an awful porno name. Sir McBiggin. When you play a Troublemaker, you may put a +1 power counter on this card. 2 for 2, powered up with Troublemakers. It fits the format, but outside of the format, it's not that good. Okay. Sugar Bell, Muffin Mayhem. When an opponent confronts a card's problem, you may... Wait a second. When an opponent confronts this card's problem, you may dismiss an opposing friend here. Just any of them? Wow. This card is really good. Your opponent confronts Sugar Bell's problem and you dismiss one of their friends. If you can get 2 of these in play, your opponent confronts a problem and you dismiss 2 of their friends. Oh, that's really cool. So, you could hypothetically play a purple and white deck. Play like a Toll Booth deck of some kind, right? You put Sugar Bell on problems, so if your opponent does happen to get through the Toll Booth and try to confront problems, you just kind of smash their friends, and their friends disappear. This is a really good card. Pink got it really good this set. I really like this. Sunset Shimmer looking absolutely horrible. 3 for 4, Clever Calculator, Meticulous 2, that's good. During a face-off, put this card at an opposing... Wait a second. Put this card and an opposing friend on top of their owner's deck. Hey! It's the third Hokage from the Naruto card game. Brokage. Shout out to all of my peeps out there who know what the Brokage is. But this card is essentially Brokage. It's good. I like it. 3 for 4 power, and if one of your opponent's friends really is just screwing stuff up, you can use its immediate effect. The other cool thing about its immediate effect is it looks like it's stackable, so if your opponent does something like, hey, I'm going to use this effect that discards your in-play Sunset Shimmer, haha, and then you go, okay, well, immediate effect, I actually put Sunset Shimmer on top of my deck, and I'm going to put one of your cards on top of the deck, so, like, you know, who's the foolish one now? It's definitely you. But yeah, this is a good card. I have no complaints about it. Mr. and Mrs. Shy, 3 for 3, your friends at home have Swift. Wow, nice. That's a good card too. Your friends at home have Swift. It doesn't say your other friends at home have Swift, so this card also has Swift while it's at home. I'm glad to see that Yellow got a halfway decent card, because from what I've seen, Yellow really didn't get very much this set, but this card is probably the best Yellow card I've seen so far. DJ Pawn 3, 3 for 3, only one color requirement. What is this? When this card enters play, reveal the top card of your deck. If you reveal an event this way, draw 3 cards. So hold on a second. This card is a Meticulous combo piece. You play a card with Meticulous. You check the top card of your deck to make sure that it's an event. You play DJ Pawn 3, and then you draw 3 cards. Good. This card's really good too. So, I mean, let's be honest here, people. It's only good in a pink and purple deck, but there's nothing wrong with pink and purple. You know, Pinky Sparkle Surprise, get 3 cards. I like it. It's nice. Zephyr Breeze, 2 for 4, Quitter. This card's gonna suck. 2 for 4. What is its downside? It has Experienced. That's a good sign. When this card is sent... Wait a second. When this card is sent or moved home, retire it. Oh, man. I don't think that's good at all. So, I see what they were trying to do, though. You pay 2, you get the 4 power on a problem. And then, like, if your opponent does do something to move it home and it discards itself, you can go, haha, I play another one and this one has 5 power. What are you going to do about it? But then your opponent really awkwardly plays something to just move it back home and discard it again. And you go, whoa, but I've got you now because I play a third one and this one has 6 power. Mwahaha. But then you use it to win a face-off and it gets sent home and it discards itself and you're never seeing it again. That's sad. This card is nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's definitely not a good card. There's so many things in this game that move a card, and the fact that you yourself can't move it home, or like if it gets moved home from being in play, it just kills itself so you never get a chance to move it back out. I don't know, dude. I don't think that I would waste the 2 points on this card. It's too situational. Like, if you see your opponent is playing a purple deck, you can't even put this card on the field, okay? You shouldn't even try. We did it, guys. We're at the last card. The Squidward? Squizzard? The Squizzard? That's a really stupid name. Scourge of Spiketopia. I mean, bronies, you do you, but I'm not feeling it, guys. I'm not feeling it at all. Main characters can't contribute their power to face-offs involving this card. So, opponents can't play troublemakers here. So, what is the point of this card? What does this card do? What does it do? Who does it stop? I'm waiting for an answer. I'm waiting for an answer. I'm not getting one because it doesn't stop anybody. Does anybody really rely on their main characters to beat a troublemaker? Because I don't. I almost exclusively use friends because you can play friends from the hands directly to the troublemaker's problem. And I mean, not being able to play a troublemaker here is good for maybe a turn or so because it stalls them out a little bit. But If they already have a Troublemaker played here, then what do you do with this card? What do you do with this card if your opponent already has a Troublemaker in play? What purpose does it serve? Your opponent, by the time they have a Troublemaker in play, getting 4 power is not really that difficult. I mean, it kind of sucks that you can't use your main character to put power on it, but you can just keep playing cards from your hand. Why not use literally anything else? No, this card sucks. This card's really bad. What an awful way to end the review on, man. This is not a good card at all. Oh, guys, I cannot even believe we're done. I've been talking for well over an hour, although with the edits and stuff, this is going to be under an hour video. So, what do I think of this set coming out? I hope the 2 sets that came out before this were better than this set. I'm not impressed at all. Like, as somebody who, I think I've skipped maybe 2 sets that have come out, having skipped 2 sets and seeing this set come out, I'm not impressed at all. I think this set looks really, really not fun to play in. Even if you're somebody that loves the game, I think you can admit that this is probably like the least fun set to come out so far. I kind of like that they're making Troublemakers more relevant, but I feel like the relevancy of Troublemakers was already cemented pretty well. You picked Troublemakers that had kind of annoying effects, you put 4 or 5 of them in your deck, and if you happen to go into them, then that was it. You happen to go into them. But the fact that they're trying to put so much into the Troublemaker face-off phase doesn't sound like it's going to end well. I don't know. I'm really not impressed. I honestly don't even think that I would have that much fun coming back and playing in this set. But one more reminder, if you guys would like me to go through, make more deck profiles, do more set reviews, make more MLP content pretty much, I highly encourage you to check the description, go to the fan group, and make your voice heard. There is a poll listed where I have a bunch of card games, and if you want MLP to continue being a thing on the channel, then please go there, leave your vote, and do it before Tuesday when I do my next stream. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. Those things really do help us out. Leave me your thoughts on the set in the comment section below. Was I being too hard on it? Let me know. And finally, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest Kudou news. Until next time, MLP fans.